revealed that the number of South African millionaires has grown over the past decade. South Africa's rich are getting richer, and they're doing this faster than their counterparts anywhere else in the world. Well, joining us from our Pretoria studio is the chief economist at Efficient Group, the one and only Dawie Roodt. Dawie, it's so nice to see you again. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you.
All right, so increase in millionaires, this must have a good and positive effect on our economy.
Certainly very good news, but I think maybe just a word of caution. If you talk about a millionaire today and you talk about a millionaire 10 years ago, we're talking about two different people. Because the rand has lost a lot of value the past 10 years, so it's much easier to become a millionaire today. But having said that, of course, it's certainly good news. So what has been happening the last couple of 10 years or so is the South African economy has been growing. The last couple of years hasn't been that good. But the last 10 years, certainly, the South African economy has been growing quite nicely. The South African economy has been expanding and integrating with the rest of the world. The technology or the technological revolution is certainly part of the South African economy. And more people are getting wealthier. I think also what is important is that the South African economy has been integrating more with the African economy. And the African economy, Sub-Saharan Africa, has been the strongest growth region in the world the past 10 years. So certainly good news, more rich people for South Africa.
Well, that is good news. I mean, when we look at it, it says that South Africa is getting more millionaires and getting richer than other countries in the world, more richer individuals at a faster rate as well. And, this obviously puts South Africa in a better position. But what is it, does it necessarily?
Well, without a doubt, it puts South Africa in a better position. Rich people are very good for an economy. Rich people are the savers. We need savings to invest, and we need investments in order to grow the economy. So first of all, rich people are savers. Secondly, usually rich people are employers. Rich people employ other people, and rich people, of course, are significant taxpayers. So the rich are really important to any economy. And maybe just a comment, and I think you did not say that, but you wanted to say that, is that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
That's where I'm going.
That is certainly not the case.
Okay,
that is without a doubt
hear.
not the case.
Yeah.
What is happening globally, not only in South Africa, that the rich indeed are getting richer, but the poor are getting better off as well. If you look at really poor countries, like for example China, they succeeded in uplifting hundreds of millions of people out of real poverty. If you look at South Africa, we certainly succeeded in uplifting many millions of people out of poverty the last 2 decades or so. So don't look at the poor and think that they necessarily are leaving the rich and think that they are leaving the poor behind. That is not the case. In fact, what is happening is that the rich is actually indicating the way for the poor and what the poor can do to become wealthy as well.
It's very difficult to have a conversation like this without having a massive headline from a Sunday newspaper bouncing into my head. And that's of what happened at African Bank. And one of the board members there at African Bank basically as a former board member, using that headline that's screaming out at us, F the poor, after what happened at African Bank, and just comments after what they were saying. And we're talking about Tami Sakutu saying, F them in relation to people who had obtained loans but could not afford to repay them. This is sad, and especially when we're looking at a man like this who is very wealthy, and he's not shy in admitting it, and yet the defenseless poor people who are now at the end of this scale. So it's quite difficult to understand a conversation where the rich are getting richer and yet the poor aren't getting poorer, but in a scenario like this they are.
No, let me turn that around. When you listen to politicians and you listen to analysts, quite often they will tell you that we've got three problems. We've got a poverty problem, an unemployment problem, and an inequality problem. I disagree with that. First of all, we do not have a poverty problem in South Africa. The real problem in South Africa is we do not have enough rich people. And the fact that we have more rich people today, more wealthy people, that indeed is good news. So the question is, what can we do to get the people that are poor to become rich as well? And the only sustainable answer to that, the only answer is that we must create more wealth.
Yeah.
And the only way that you can create more wealth is through economic growth. So the real question that we're asking is, what can we do to get this economy to grow? Now, I can point out many things that we have to do in order to grow this economy. For example, it is quite often illegal to employ people because of our silly labor legislation that we have in South Africa. So if you want to address unemployment, for instance, change labor legislation. If you want to address poverty in South Africa, change the way that the state is undermining the South African economy, for example. Do something about the efficiency of the state. Do something about the efficiency of education, for example, in South Africa. So what we need to do is not actually to do things to grow the economy. What we need to do is remove the obstacles in the way of economic growth. And there are so many obstacles in the way of this economy. The only sustainable answer to do something about unemployment and poverty is to grow the economy. And the easiest way of doing that is to remove the obstacles in the way of economic growth.
All right, Dawie Roodt, thank you so much. I know there's so much more to talk about, but I think you definitely skimmed the surface and very well for us. So Dawie Roodt, who is the chief economist at Efficient Group, talking to us about the fact that South Africa is getting more and more millionaires. In fact, probably the fastest millionaire grouping in the world, which is good news for our economy. All right.